Hello everyone, welcome to the week 61 patch notes for ICARUS. In this week, there's been major changes to the weather forecasting system and revised from the week 60 update. So I'm going to get straight into all the information this week. I'm not going to beat around the bush because there's a lot of information I need to give you, so you have all of the correct information for the new weather forecasting system. Before I get into that though, I just want to say a massive thank you and a shout out to Sarah again from the official ICARUS Discord who provided me with these fantastic graphs. So the first change in the week 61 update is the forecasting duration. Last week it was a 2-day forecast you could see ahead, and now it's a 3-day forecast. So you can see 3 days ahead worth of storms. To give you an example of how the storms are a lot better now with the 61 update compared to the week 60 update. I was live streaming on Olympus open world yesterday, and I had 5 storms in about 3.5 hours, and none of them went above tier 4, and that was on medium mode. So we're going to be taking a look at the tier of storms first, and we're going to go through each and every one of them individually. Feel free to just pause it and take a longer look at it if you wish. There will be download links to all of the images you see in this video in regards to the weather in the pinned comments. So just let me explain how this is going to work. So the numbers represented building damage tier. Okay, as you can see on the tier 0 at 000 in each block. Okay, so these won't damage any of your structure, even thatch. Okay, because these are all zeros. So tier 0, you're absolutely fine. So now on to tier 1, you'll have arid winds, arctic winds, rain. Just ignore that medium rain though, just pretend that's not even there. So all of these fall below 2+ points. So it's only going to be 1.5 being your most severe here. So if you've just built in thatch, you'll be repairing a lot of thatch during this period. But everything else is absolutely fine. Now on to tier 2. Tier 2 is where it gets a little bit more ramped up a little bit. It's not like severe, anything like that. So you have a 0, 1, 2, 1, 0 period for light sand, and light snow you have a 0, 1, 2, 1, 0 period, and winds it is 0, 2, 2, 2, 0. So all that means is interior wood and thatch is going to get hurt in this storm. So for tier 3 you have 3 storms that fall into this category. You have snow, heat wave, and storm. So storms being the most severe here, as you have a 3, yeah? So wood, aluminium, and glass, not reinforced glass or regular glass, can take damage here. And obviously interior wood and thatch as well. This is what will fall under the category as tier 4, snowstorms, flash storms, and medium sands. So to keep this blunt, there's going to be nothing in tier 4 that can damage stone or reinforced glass, but everything else will take increased damage, which I've mentioned prior tiers. Now tier 5, the severe arctic winds, the severe desert winds, the shamals, severe winds, medium snow, and thunderstorm will only be in tier 5, and you're going to be getting up to a 7.5 at its worst period here, and that will be severe desert winds. So what that means is from the thunderstorms, the severe winds, and the severe desert winds, stone and reinforced glass will be able to take damage, and everything else will take increased damage from the previous tiers. Now on to tier 6 and the final tier. You have blizzards, heavy rain, heavy sand, and heavy snow. So basically everything's going to take increased damage here other than concrete. Concrete doesn't even come into play here. It doesn't take any damage whatsoever. So here is the forecasting system for ICARUS. There's not really much for me to say on this matter. Feel free to pause it and have a look through it. Again, this image will be able to be downloaded from a link in the pinned comments. If you are on mobile and viewing this, you can just pinch the screen and zoom in on YouTube, and you'll be able to zoom into all the information. You'll see all the missions on the left hand side of the screen, which correspond to all of the current forecast and weather patterns. So my thoughts on the matter regarding the storms. This is a fantastic adjustment from the week 60 update. I think everybody can agree. Less severity of the storms, as you only get one storm per block now, along with the damage output is less, and the frequency of storms is greatly reduced as well. Like I touched on earlier on in the video, I had 5 storms in about 3.5 hours. And that was on open world Olympus on medium, and none of them went above a category 4. Everything you've seen today regarding the forecast and stuff like that is being based on medium mode. So obviously if you play on easy mode or hard mode and stuff like that, it's going to be varying different in difficulties. So the devs did go on to say, with the weather fixes in their patch notes, we've spent a week adjusting our new weather systems with all the feedback you have given us. This has been incredibly valuable and we're grateful for your constructive suggestions and candor. Furthermore, they went on to say weather now generates 1 event per weather block, which I've already touched on. Weather blocks now are longer, often twice as long or more. Again, this is already what I touched on. I had about 5 weather events in about 3.5 hours. Also, they've reduced the frequency of weather events to be a more reasonable and manageable amount. Again, I've touched on that. Weather events are now picked again via the weighted list system rather than a rolling queue. The weather forecast has now been extended to 3 days. Again, I've touched on that. And lastly, reduced and rebalanced the severity of weather in various prospects. Again, this comes back to me being on Olympus open world. It was pretty much nothing there that was going to destroy a stone base, for example. Wood took damage and thatch would have taken damage basically, because it only went up to a tier 3 storm. And we have optimizations this week, and quite a few important ones. So the devs go on to say we're introducing some new performance optimizations that our team has been hard at work, looking at some of the areas we discussed in week 59. So they say here, ticks are an action that a game object performs, typically multiple times per second, reducing the number of things done by each object every tick. Reduces the strain on the CPU and therefore improves performance. Likewise, reducing the number of objects that tick also means better performance. In layman's terms, they're reducing the amount of ticks to increase performance. Now, if you're wondering what the hell this video is about going on in the background, the devs accidentally put an item in the game which was meant to get introduced in the week 62 patch, apparently. And it's called the thumper. Okay? So basically the model wasn't complete and it was like a radar and you could craft it on the fabricator. And you needed composites and some other stuff to craft it. Now, at first, we tried putting it in a cave. Nothing worked. But because I had to have cover. So I decided to put it inside a stone structure and our little friend here appeared, and some larger versions as well, like big blue cave worms and this alien looking cave worm thing. Anyways, so yeah, end up taking that down, completely taken by surprise, and the mechanics on this thing are absolutely awesome. Think of the Scorpion boss with the mechanics on that. This boss dives into the ground and then starts like going all like Dune style. What I think it looks like is something basically from Tremors, the movie. So that's what it looks like to me. And you can literally see it diving into the ground like a worm, and it just goes up and down. It looks really cool. Anyways, I think the devs have removed it officially now up until like whenever it gets released. So yeah, I actually took this down. If you want to go and see the full video of this, I'll leave that down in the pinned comments as well. If you've made it this far, thanks very much for watching the entirety of the video. As always, it helps me out a lot. Leave a like on the video if you found it helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Leave a comment down below. Or you can become a member like these beautiful people on the right hand side, either on KOFI or YouTube. Make sure you check the perk tiers though, as they all offer different things.